Hello and welcome to the News 9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News 9 Plus.
Mr. President, what you would like to say about the Bangladesh issue, because we saw and it is evident that how the deep state of United States was involved to regime change during the Biden administration. Then Muhammad Yunus made Junior Soros also. So what is your point of view about the Bangladesh?
And what is the role that the deep state played in the situation in Bangladesh?
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
A historic Trump-Modi meeting at the White House. And I have with me now my colleague, TV9 Bharatvarsh's executive editor, Manish Jha, who was there inside the Oval Office just a few hours ago. Manish, welcome to the News 9 Plus show. Manish, we saw Bangladeshi protesters outside the White House at Pennsylvania Avenue. Did you speak with them? What did they tell you?
Yes, of course, I spoke with them. There were hundreds of Bangladeshi people who are staying in United States of America. Some of them come from other parts of states, like some of them were from New York and some other states, from some other states. And I talked to them, and they were protesting against Muhammad Yunus, and they were gathered there and giving support to Prime Minister Modi, and they were demanding that Prime Minister Modi and President Trump must discuss about the Bangladesh issue. And thank God that it happened. Prime Minister Modi raised the Bangladesh issue with President Trump. Prime Minister Modi share India's concern with President Trump, and I can say one thing very proudly, that I also contributed a little bit. Like in Oval Office, I directly asked a question to President Trump about Bangladesh, and I directly asked him that how the deep state of United States were involved for the Bangladesh crisis, for the regime change in Bangladesh. And then the Trump's answer given by the Trump was amazing, especially when he says that I leave Bangladesh matter to Prime Minister Modi, and now all the experts are interpreting his answers.
Why did President Trump say in response to your question that the US deep state was not involved in Bangladesh?
Obviously, why President of United States will accept that yes, our agency, our CIA or our other intelligence agencies were involved in Bangladesh. But see, now everything is clear. If you remember that during US visit, even Muhammad Yunus himself admitted when he was attending a program organized by Clinton Foundation. At that time, he introduced 2 or 3 youth leaders to Bill Clinton, and he especially mentioned about his role, that how these student leaders organized the whole process. And then what happened? See, from the day one, I believe that whatever happened in Bangladesh in August 2024, it was exactly happened in Ukraine during 2014 protests. So, and those people who were involved in Ukrainian regime change, they were involved in Bangladesh also. You must remember about a person, a very controversial man, Donald Lu, who was working in state office. He visited so many times to Bangladesh when regime change happened, and then he met Muhammad Yunus. Who was he? The Donald Lu, and his senior Victoria Nuland. See, the thing is, the Victoria Nuland and Donald Lu, these are the character, these are the mastermind of regime change in various countries, and Bangladesh was one of their projects. So that's why my intention was to raise this issue and directly to the President of United States, and thank God that I was succeed. I asked them, I mentioned this issue, and I'm very happy that after my question Within 5 minutes, when the Prime Minister Modi and President Trump were meeting and they were talking, and that time when Prime Minister Modi also raised this Bangladesh issue, I don't know what exactly Prime Minister Modi spoken to President Trump about this thing, but whatever Ministry of External Affairs inform us, according to that, Prime Minister Modi raised Bangladesh issue and he mentioned about the current status of Bangladesh, and let's see what happened next. But the last line of President Trump is very much important when he answered me that I leave it to Prime Minister.
So, what did President Trump mean when he said that he will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister of India? And what is President Trump's White House stand likely to be on Bangladesh? He's spoken out against the persecution of minorities there.
What I understand that because if you see the answer given by the President Trump, it is in two parts. The first part is when he denied about the involvement of any deep state from US, and this is the first time when he is actually protecting the deep state. Otherwise, he always saying or abusing about the deep state, that how deep state was involved to fixing him, or how deep state was involved to killing him. For the assassination, deep state is always blamed. But when the Bangladesh question was raised by me, then he said that no, US deep state was not involved. It doesn't mean that Mr. Trump is saying whatever it is truth. The truth is that US president is protecting their establishments because this is basically US job, and it's not new. It's not the first time that it happened in Bangladesh. There were so many countries where the deep states were involved and the regime change happened. So that's why this question was very much important.
Victoria Nuland and Donald, you are replaced indeed, and Lou incidentally has been replaced by Paul Kapoor, pro-India official. Now, interesting that the Prime Minister raised the Bangladesh issue, and that last remark by President Trump, I leave Bangladesh to Modi. What did he mean by that?
There are so many interpretations. Some experts are saying that he was actually referring to Prime Minister, that let the Prime Minister speak on Bangladesh. But did you see that the Prime Minister didn't say anything about that, because that question was asked to the President Trump, not to Prime Minister. I asked a separate question to Prime Minister Modi, and he answered on that question. And I specifically asked the question related to Bangladesh to President Trump, and the President Trump gave his answer. And in that answer, he mentioned about that I leave it to Bangladesh. And one of the interpretation is that now India and US maybe will be on same page related to Bangladesh. It means that whatever Prime Minister Modi will decide about Bangladesh, maybe that US or especially the President Trump follow that decision.
Manish Jha, thank you very much for your thoughts. Manish Jha there, straight from Washington, D.C., the most powerful place on earth, as he called the White House. Now, the most important takeaway there, India and the US seem to be on the same page on Bangladesh. Now joined by my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul, who's been tracking these developments very closely. Aditya, would the caretaker government of Mohammed Yunus be very worried with that press conference between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump?
Well, Sandeep, that was the first question. Early in the morning, I was awake all night, tracking these developments. And when that statement came, when that question was posed, in fact, by TV9's Manish Jha, I was watching it closely. What would Trump react to it?
Right.
And he said initially that the deep state was not involved.
Yes.
And then he said that I will leave it to the Prime Minister.
Right.
Now, one could assume that leaving it to the Prime Minister meant that probably he wants Modi to answer that question.
Right.
But for the viewers, I'll explain the context to this.
Right.
He also said before this that Prime Minister has been dealing with this for hundreds of years. Now, when I heard this, I was perplexed and I was confused as to why would he say that Modi has been dealing this for hundreds of years.
Right.
Now, the context is that a few weeks ago, Trump was on a podcast.
Right.
And during that podcast, he was narrating to answering a question where he was asked, how do you deal with world leaders? Are they tough?
Right.
Are they stupid? How are they?
Yes.
How do they react? And then the first example he gave was of Modi, that he's a killer guy.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
he's a killer guy. He's a, from the outside, he comes out as a very empathetic and soft guy.
Right.
But inside, he's very tough.
He's a grandfatherly image.
He's a grandfatherly image. And then he narrates an incident
Right.
that few years ago, he didn't name Pakistan, but he said that there was a country
Yes.
that was causing a lot of problem. And I offered help and said that, do you want my help to deal with this? And he firmly responded, no, I have been dealing with this. We are capable to deal with this. We have been dealing with them for hundreds of years.
Oh, very interesting. So
Yes.
it was a reference to
It
that
was reference
podcast.
to that podcast, and
Right.
he said that Bangladesh, I
Yes.
would leave it to the Prime Minister. He knows how to deal with them. But there is a clause to this. Bangladesh does not figure in the topmost priorities of the Trump administration right now.
Did it
What
figure in the Biden administration's priorities?
It was clearly, I mean,
Right.
from Donald Lu to everybody
Victoria
else
Nuland, yes,
involved. I
yes.
mean, now the papers are being leaked. There is, a person from this freedom group
Yes.
that is coming out with all these documents, clearly talking about how USAID was funding the soft power,
Yes.
music groups, other
Of course.
groups in
Yes.
Bangladesh to create a so-called image of a revolution.
Right.
Yes, there were protests underway, but there wasn't a situation where there would be such massive scale of violence. Now,
Right.
Islamists have been weaponized,
Yes.
and that credit goes completely to the Biden administration. I mean, look at the Russian press conference
Yes.
that happened back in 2023. I think in November and December, they issued 2 statements from the Russian Foreign Ministry clearly indicating that there was a coup underway, and this coup was in fact a regime change operation by the CIA and CIA's so-called front, USAID. So as of now, of course, I believe that there will be much more coordination.
Yes.
Modi and Trump, US administration and the Indian government will be on the same page when it comes to Bangladesh, and this begins massive problems for the Yunus administration.
Yes.
And Yunus will have to ensure now democratic elections.
Right.
Because now the students also are forming a political party,
Yes.
and they'll be contesting elections. How does he ensure that the Awami League gets equal opportunity to contest these elections would be a major issue right now.
Absolutely.
But as of now, I would say that still for the Trump administration, for the CIA, the new CIA, the new intelligence under Tulsi Gabbard
Yes.
and Mike Waltz, it won't be the same. It won't be the same smooth ride for Bangladesh.
Won't be the same smooth ride for Bangladesh, not business as usual. But General Shankar now joins us. He's the one who coined the expression Yun-Archy. General Shankar, what's your reading of President Trump's statement? Has he actually, handed Bangladesh over to India, as Aditya was just telling us?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very clear about it. In fact, yesterday night I said this is my hope
Yes.
that the handling of Bangladesh should be through India.
Right.
And that has proven right, actually. It's very clear. Now, there's a precedent to this, which I said yesterday night along with you. When Sri Lanka went into a problem, when the financial meltdown took place, the entire handling of Sri Lanka and bailing it out and doling it out was left with India.
Yes.
USS just took a step back and supported us. We supported them in the IMF, and then USA came in, played its part, and finally Sri Lanka was put back on track. Right? That whole thing worked out well, and we have that experience. So I suppose when Dr. Jaishankar and Secretary Marco Rubio spoke on 20th of January, right, and the first meeting, Bangladesh came up for discussion. I think some kind of an understanding has
Yes.
been arrived at already. And what you saw was just what that understanding extended. And already from what his statement one could make out,
Yes.
look, Trump will not say that the deep state was involved. Then
Yeah.
it implicates US.
His own government, exactly.
Yeah, that won't happen. But the fact that he said, I leave it to the Prime Minister, is something which is very significant. He is not interested in getting involved with that. He's got
Right.
bigger fish to go after. He's got
Yes.
a bigger plan to go after. And let me also put one issue across here. Everyone says Trump is transactional.
Yes.
I don't find him transactional. In fact, transactionality is a tool for him to achieve a strategic outcome,
Right.
which he is doing with a plan. And Bangladesh doesn't figure in it. But for India, Bangladesh is important,
Right.
right? With a 4,000 odd kilometer border, And the fact that ever since this coup has taken place, I call it a coup. I've
Yes.
always called it a coup. The anti-India sentiment has been going up.
Right.
And there's a program on. There's a systematic sidelining of the Awami League. Right after Bangabandhu's house was demolished,
Yes.
the current government has launched something called, devil hunting or Operation Devil Hunt, in which who are the devils? Awami League.
Right.
And a political party which has ruled Bangladesh and had won elections in Bangladesh democratically for over 50% of its existence is being, systematically sidelined and kept out of the equation. And then who are coming in? The radicalists or the Jamatis.
Yes.
And this new party which Mr. Aditya Rau's call was talking of is all based on that. And as it is, the students were all radical guys to start with.
Right.
And we also saw that Yunus had introduced these student leaders to Clinton as the people who are the masterminds behind this whole affair.
Yes.
And he actually confessed on stage that this whole story of this, monsoon revolution was a well-planned affair.
Right.
So, what is happening here is a political coup now.
Yes.
As it is, the Bangladesh National Party is almost falling out with this whole system. So a weakened Bangladesh National Party,
Yes.
a non-existent Awami League leads you to what? A radical Islamist group. And that will be supported by ISI.
Yes.
Right? If you see the interaction between Pakistan and Bangladesh, it's significant. Whether it's artillery ammunition or the willingness to buy J-17 aircraft or ships transiting or the ISI team coming or the Bangladesh military team today is in Pakistan participating in Aman.
Yes.
Right? They're not,
Military
so
exercises,
a whole
yes.
lot of things are involved. Okay. One thing I would like to highlight, we should understand. In 1971, we took Bangladesh out of Pakistan.
Yes.
But today we are realizing we have not taken Pakistan out of Bangladesh.
That's
And
an
we have to
interesting
deal with it accordingly.
observation. Yeah, we haven't taken Pakistan out of Bangladesh. Indeed, spot on, General Shankar. But, Aditya, this other statement made by President Trump, where he spoke about how Tahawur Rana was going to be returned to India. And he made another statement. He said that there are more to follow because we have quite a few requests. We work with India on crime and we want to make things better for India. Who are these other people who he wants to send back to India?
Well, there are quite a few, I must say. With Canada, it was over 24
Right.
dossiers that were sent. With US, it's more than a dozen names that have been shared, and I must in fact give credit to the NIA, to the RNAW, to the IB and all the agencies under the MHA
Right.
who have been relentlessly working on this for years together. Imagine Tahawur Rana case. This is
Yes.
2611 that we're
Right.
talking
It's
about.
almost 18 years.
It's 18 years
Yes.
and he hasn't been deported here. He
Yes.
hasn't faced music. He hasn't faced the law
Yes.
of the land here in India. And finally, it's happening. Although some of the negotiations had taken place
Right.
during the Biden admin as well, but a key decision, a final approval by the president had not happened.
Right.
So this time Tahawur Rana will be here, and it will be a huge message as well
Yes.
that a plotter, a conspirator of 2611 gets justice here in India.
Right.
Apart from that, the other names that you're mentioning, Anmol Bishnoi
Yes.
is one name. He's been in California around that part of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Another name that's doing rounds is Goldie Brar,
Yes.
who is between US and Canada. He's being hunted. He killed quite a few people in Punjab and other places as well. There is this gentleman called Gurpatwant Singh Pannu
Right.
as well.
Sounds like a familiar name.
Familiar
right?
name. I try my best to forget him, but every morning he sends me a message, a propaganda video or a message about
Has he sent you
Khalistan.
a propaganda video this morning? He must be
Hasn't.
very frightened.
He's trying to figure out what happened in the White House.
Right.
But the last video was very interesting. He went
Yes.
inside the US Congress,
Right.
knocking doors of the congressmen and doing propaganda.
Yes.
Now that is also a security nightmare, that a designated terrorist as per Indian law
Yes.
is freely roaming around inside the US Congress. So
Right.
I'm not sure if Pannu will come or not, but India and US are on the same page. There is give and take that is
Yes.
happening. We are buying more defense equipment. Trade
Right.
tariffs perhaps would be balanced a little.
Yes.
But on security, there will be no compromise.
Right.
Perhaps not immediately, but in a systematic, step-by-step manner, we will see these terrorists, these people who are running away from the law, will finally return and face music.
Absolutely. Very interesting observation, Aditya. The fact that the United States, which ironically a strategic partner of India, was a safe haven for all of these criminals that you just mentioned, and that could well be ending now under the Donald Trump administration. But, you know, General Shankar, over to you again. The fact that you have Yunus now on a deadline, it looks like he has no option now but to hold democratic elections, as Aditya just said. How does this constrict his wriggle room now, given these statements that have come out of the White House, the fact that the US has just openly declared the fact that it's not going to harbor anti-India elements, criminals, gangsters, or designated terrorists anymore? How does this constrict his options?
Look, the way I look at it, he's the first radical, okay, in that country.
Yes.
Let's be very clear about the whole story. He's a tough character. He's a tough nut to crack. He's not going to sidestep easily.
Right.
He has to be pushed out. Now, the thing is this, he's now got support. He's built a strong support of radicals, and they're well, fortified. They built enough circles around themselves.
Yes.
Plus the fact that they have ISI to back them. And ISI has never left Bangladesh. Additionally, these people are now reaching out to China. So it will not be an easy affair. But on the other hand, Bangladesh is sliding into anarchy. Forget the fact of pun of Yun-Archy, it's sliding into anarchy.
Yes.
There are tanker strikes, there are bus strikes, there are railway strikes, shortage of electricity, oil, all this. Day-to-day things are going bad. Their economy has taken a nosedive.
Yes.
Their garment industry has broken up completely, almost completely, with hardly any. There's no investment.
Right.
And it has just come out 2 days back that Bangladesh is one of the most corrupt countries.
Right.
It is it competes with Pakistan in corruption.
Right.
So there are so the internal conditions in Bangladesh are going down day by day. Will it lead into a bad situation, into a completely unstable situation, is the issue to be seen. Will there be a counter coup or a counter revolution which will take place, is to be seen and monitored.
Right.
Whether that counter revolution succeeds or not, whether these people succeed or not, we have to bear in mind Bangladesh has had a very violent history.
Yes.
Throughout its existence, every ruler of Bangladesh has either been assassinated or thrown out on a coup, or he's been sent out, or is jailed.
There's no peaceful transfer of power. Yes.
No, not even once, except one odd time with Sheikh Hasina, and that too people are now alleging a lot of things. So that's got a violent history.
Right.
So will all this settle in a hurry is to be seen.
Yes.
And the fact that there is a strong anti-India feeling. Why I'm saying anti-India feeling is, I've done about half a dozen programs on Bangladesh with ambassadors and bureaucrats and army people and everyone. And I find that the response from Bangladesh for everything, whether you put out a hand of friendship, or you tell them something, or even you remind them about what we did in 71 and all that, is being met with absolute anti-India feeling.
Right.
They are absolute
worrying turn of events indeed, General Shankar. I'm afraid we're completely out of time, but thank you very much for your observations on Yun-Archy, of course, turning into anarchy, and now, who knows, a counter-revolution in Bangladesh as well. But that's a story we've been tracking ever since the violent revolution that ousted Sheikh Hasina last August. Thank you very much for joining us, Aditya, and of course, General Ravi Shankar.